We're going to introduce you to Python and also Flet. Flet is a UI for Python. So you can put icons, you can put text of different sizes. To get started, we're going to use a packaging tool called UV. You'll need to install this. UV is like pip, PIP. You might be familiar with installing packages with pip. We're going to be using UV instead of pip. So you need to grab it with this curl command and install UV. I'm now going to start a new project with UV. So UV init. I'm going to use a specific version of Python. Python equals 3.13. I'll call my project list comp for list comprehension. It creates the project. There's a new folder in here. I'm going to change the directory into the new folder. And I have 3 files here. I'm going to start up an editor. I'm going to use cursor. In cursor, we're not going to use the AI and we're not going to use the agents. So I'm going to do Control or Command Option B on the Mac. And that will collapse the sidebar for cursor. Also, there's a cursor tab here. I'm going to snooze it for 1 hour. On cursor, if you do Control backtick, you can get to the command line shell here. So I'm in the list comprehension. Flet is going through a upgrade and it should be at version 1.0 beta pretty soon, but we're going to use a different way. So I'm going to UV add flet. I'm going to use these brackets for all, square bracket. And this is all good to this point, but we're going to do something a little funky here. We're going to install the alpha version, and you might not need this step. You might be able to just install it from the 1.0 by the time you watch this video. So you need to check what version is available. But right now, December of 2025, I have to do it this way. And pre-release equals allow. And again, you can probably just do UV add flet square brackets all and then put the little semicolon there. But the syntax did change. So I'll do it like this so you can see it, and I'm going to press enter. All right, if you're on Windows, hopefully you're using WSL, and so you'll be able to follow the same commands. There's different ways to activate the virtual environment. I'm just going to run it bin activate like this. So I'll have the name of the folder that I'm in here on the command line. There's a little main.py here. I'll do Command B to collapse it, and I'm going to reduce the size a bit with Command -sign. So we have a little bit more space. And we could run it like this. And it says the string here in the main. However, it's not very exciting. We're just on the command line, so we want to have some type of GUI. So I'm going to import flet as ft, and the def main here, we're going to go page as the variable. That's the input to this method. And the type is going to be ft.page. So this is a Python optional typing. And just to be clear, it's going to return null. So there's no return on this. So at this point, it will still work. We can get rid of this. And if we do ft from right there, dot run main, which is the method name here, we can now try to run it again. So I'm going to do flet run main. So we now have this window. It says flet at the top. So we have the page that's getting inputted right there. So we'll start with that same variable, page dot add. I'm going to add a piece of text. So ft, we just imported it from Flet. And then we're going to do dot text for a piece of text. And we'll put a string here. I'll say, hello, I am Craig. And maybe put your own name just to be fun. So we have it right there. Okay, but at this point we could go to the end of the quote and put a size, and we could make it a number like 50. Right, so just put size 50 and it's now bigger, or maybe even make it more exciting and it's 80 and we have it pretty big. And if we make it a color, red. Okay, so it's nice and red. Or we could make it green, or we can make it blue, or a yellow. Okay, maybe I'll leave it at yellow. Looks like a little bit like a bee. Okay, this is pretty fun. I'm going to create a folder here, a new folder. I'm going to call it assets. I'm going to find a picture. So I had the AI create this little assets for me. I just dropped it into asset and it's like a PixArt. You can also go to itch.io. There's many sites like this and you can browse for game assets. And then under the game assets, filter results to free. And you can find many of these asset packs here. Just put it into an image editor like GIMP to find the one that you like. I think in the past I have used this Sproutlands, and there's a little rabbit-like character there. But I'm using my little character here that I'm calling Corey for a future game. Okay, so I've set up the assets directory and it's called assets. So I'm going to specify it here. I'm going to go assets underscore directory. I'm going to put these quotes. I want to call it assets. I'm going to save it now. Now I can add a graphic to the page. So I'm going to do FT, which is our Flet. And then I'm going to go image here. I'll do a round bracket. I'll put double quotes and I'll put the name of the file. Remember what it was? It's right up here, right? So it's Corey underscore front dot png. And we're good to go. Oh, I guess I put my own name. I guess you could make you could have put a picture of yourself, I guess. But let's go Corey. Right, let's review what we learned. We used UV, the Python package manager, to install a bunch of packages. One of the packages that we did install is Flet. So UV is the Python package manager, and Flet is this package that adds a UI component to it. And the UI component is this that you can see where you can move it around. Um, we can put buttons, graphics on it. And then we learned how to import a Python package. And the keyword here is simply this import statement. So this is how all Python packages are installed, and it's import. The name of the package, in this case, it is Flet. And as is a keyword, and we can specify any word here, but by convention, Flet often uses an FT, so it's a shortcut, right? So you could do Flet here as well, but we're just putting FT because it's shorter than the word Flet. We define a function. So the way you define a function in Python is the keyword def, and there's a special function here called main. We can create additional ones with the same convention. And there's some round brackets here, and there's a colon over here. And inside the round brackets, there's a variable that is passed into it. And when it's passed in to this function here, it's generally called a parameter. That's what people often call it. And there's a colon here, and if you're not familiar, this is a little funky, but this just specifies the type. So it will work without this ft.page. And this thing that looks like a pointer, this arrow here, is simply say that it's going to return null, none. So this main function does not return anything. And this things with the colon is the Python optional type hints that we'll be using in this course quite a bit. It's a little newer, and you may not have learned it in school because your school might be using curriculum developed maybe more than 5 years ago. And this is primarily the way that Python is done nowadays. So congratulations on making your first Flet application. You can play around with it. In the future, we're going to be focused on Python data structures. So for example, a list and list comprehensions.